Hello everyone, good afternoon. This is Roshni Tiwari. I welcome you all to PiCA's yet another 3 o'clock studio presenting a collection of best architectural works from SEM 4 and 6 by our own students. So, I request Nishita Joseph from SEM 6 to present her work.
Hello, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Nishita Joseph, and I'll be presenting my design of a government school located in Ahmedabad. There are around 1.5 million schools and more than 260 million schoolgoers in India. However, when we talk about government schools, we see that not much of a thought is given into the physical environment of the school. Although the Right to Education Act ensures every child's right to free education, the lack of importance that is given to the physical environment makes this journey not very indulging. Now, there are some schools that have broken this idea of a traditional school building by making everyday learning engaging, by introducing play, providing spaces for seclusion, opening up the school buildings, and giving importance to the physical as well as the psychological development. This project is about designing a government school in Gulbai Tekra, Ahmedabad. The site is of 7,360 square meter area, surrounded by residential buildings and a densely packed settlement known as the Hollywood Basti. The following site analysis was done before designing, and the site responses will be explained in the slides ahead. Since the school caters largely to the community, the users therefore are the people of the Basti. Now, learning is not something that just happens within four walls. A child's mind is always curious, constantly absorbing things around him. Schools have merely become monotonous, leaving no room for excitement. Keeping in mind the curious nature of a child, the idea is to let the young mind explore, encourage discovery and drama, and make learning a vibrant experience. To do so, the concept is to follow serial vision by adjusting the visuals, orientation, and scale. The children coming to the school are mainly from the Basti. The idea is to give them the freedom of learning that is not bound by four walls. David Thornburg's four models of learning become the driving force of the design that leads to creating spaces for storytelling, which is learning from experts, watering hole, which is related to learning from peers, caves as spaces for individual contemplation, and finally implementing these in real life. The design development process started by analyzing the site and strategically placing the playground. The built mass was then positioned. This built mass was opened up facing the entrance to the site in order to make the building porous. Breaking and turning of spaces based on the trees on the site was done to make the trees also a part of the learning experience. And finally, the lower portions were further opened up in order to create shared spaces. Following were the design strategies where the entrance to the site was taken from the main road and the vehicular entrance was taken from the extreme end in order to not tamper the pedestrian circulation. The playground was placed towards the east in the north-south direction to create a buffer between the school and the settlement. Spaces were carved out of the structure based on the trees on the site in order to blur the boundary between indoor and outdoor. Now, the context is a compact slum with no common gathering spaces, and the building should also work as a resource to the community in non-functional hours. Hence, the highlighted spaces also become the shared spaces for the community. Breakout spaces were provided in the corridors to create an active learning environment, and spaces like the multipurpose hall and art and craft room were provided with double height to create a volume. The isometric view of the school in its context shows how the busy road and the school spaces have a buffer in between and how the school opens up to the community as well. The view from the road, it shows how the vehicular movement does not interfere with the pedestrian movement and the frontage is entirely pedestrianized. The isometric view of the school highlights how all the design strategies fall in place. The breakdown of every floor has been shown in the exploded axonometry, and it shows how the built spaces have a spillover to the spaces outside, and this will be further explained in the floor plans. Now, all these strategies form the site plan. The site plan shows how the spaces are scattered, yet connected in order to make the building porous and maximize ventilation. The vehicular and pedestrian entrances are from the main road to the south. The parking is strategically placed to the north in order to pedestrianize the building front completely. The entrance to the building has a stilt area that becomes the assembly area. The admin is placed near the stilt so that the stilt can also act as a waiting area for parents. The space in between the ramp becomes an informal seating space. The Anganwadi is placed near the entrance for better access, and it also has an immediate play area outside. The staff room, the principal's room, and the conference room are placed towards the north with a staff toilet nearby. Now, keeping in mind the models of learning, the trees on the site have been included to act as spaces for learning. The tree outside the hall acts as a space to implement and hold workshops. The tree towards the entrance, with the ramp running around, acts as a space to talk and learn from peers. The tree near the library acts as a quiet space for individual learning. The midday meal area with the kitchen along with the multipurpose hall have been placed to the east near the community in order to be useful for the community as well. Now, these shared spaces have been designed to be flexible to the needs. Hence, the multipurpose hall and the midday meal area are placed next to each other to have the following functions. Type 1 and 2 are where both the spaces serve independent functions. Type 3 and 4 are where both the spaces merge by opening up the flexible partition and form a larger space. The upper floors can be accessed via a ramp, the staircase, or an elevator. The first floor has 8 primary classrooms placed at one level. These classrooms are placed away from the main road and the playground in order to face the quieter sides and also have their openings away from the harsh sunlight. The computer lab and the science lab are placed above the midday meal area. The corridors have breakout spaces. The staircase forms corridors that have always a visual connectivity on every floor. There are spaces outside the classrooms that act as balconies, forming quieter breakout spaces. The multipurpose hall has a vault roof forming a double height space. The classrooms have an area of 80 square meter that gives enough space for learning and group activities and spaces for seclusion. The second floor has a similar classroom layout along with the staff room for the secondary school teachers. The breakout spaces shift their position on the second floor in order to always have an open view. The roof plan shows how the vaulted double height spaces and the central courtyard skylight falls in place, and the entire school runs on solar panels. Section AA- cuts along the assembly area and shows the closed, semi-open, and the open spaces. The wall section A cuts through the outside of the classroom. The spaces have filler slab with clay pots in order to cut down the cost of RCC. Section BB- cuts along the ramp and highlights the circulation via ramp, and the staircase with its mid landing acting as pause points. The wall section B cuts the exterior of the classroom. This shows how the window projects out and forms the seating inside the classrooms. Section CC- cuts along the open space outside the library and highlights the bridges that connect the two wings of the building. Wall section C cuts the exterior wall of the toilets and shows the brick jali covering the duct. Section DD- cuts along the classrooms. It also shows the Anganwadi having a mezzanine that indirectly forms a division of spaces. The walls have recycled glass bottles that form a colorful play of light on the inside. The step seating to the left falls outside the library. Section EE- cuts along the midday meal area. The detailed wall section shows the central opening that lets light in. Elevation A is from the main road and shows a dramatic ramp with the stilt forming a solid void relationship. And elevation B is from the west, highlights how this breakout spaces pop out of the grid and how the balconies form visual connectivity throughout. Lastly, the school was designed not just to accommodate a particular teaching concept, but to be a place to learn, play, and grow individually as well as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishita Joseph, for this appealing and continual presentation of your detailed work. Further, I request Shubham Moghe and Shubham Prasad from SEM 4 to carry away with the presentation.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Very good afternoon. I would like to present our SEM4 AD design, which was of a museum situated in Aurangabad. Start present. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Sorry, the audio was not audible. I'll present again.
We would like to start by the definition. A museum attempts to reflect the relevance of context architecturally and functionally. It is a platform that addresses the cultural aspects of the context. A museum is a complex space that has more than one purpose of existence. It serves the public as a medium of sharing knowledge, culture, ideas, experience through different modes of social engagement, exploration, performances, etc.
The climate of Aurangabad remains hot and dry throughout the year. The site sits beside a highway which connects to the core attractions of the city. Hence, it proves to be a responsible site to address the tourism of Aurangabad. So, the structure should be magnificent enough to attract the highway traffic. Being surrounded by mountains on all the sides, the museum was designed such that it captures all of its surrounding beauty.
As per the study, around 6 lakh people visit Aurangabad every year, with 20% of them being foreigners. The professionals having artistic background will show great interest, and so will be the target audience. We started with case studies of bunch of similar cases that seem to resonate with project in our hand. The analysis through Jewish Museum and Serpentine Pavilion gave us the idea for space distribution on user flow. St. Andrew's Institute helped us to understand the structural system. The Rane Vidyalaya sets an example to use different levels functionally in design. The next thing we came across are the standard anthropometric data for designing the gallery spaces.
The radial pattern serves good form to create variety in spaces and respond to the site study. Strategically modeling the shape led to reach an extroverted freestanding design that can satisfy the need of a museum. The core concept of our design is to reflect the city's timeline in interior spaces as users experience from entry to exit of a museum and connect each other seamlessly. As per the timeline, Aurangabad witnessed different styles of architecture under different rules like rock cut architecture, Islamic architecture, and the Maratha style of architecture.
Our design of the museum is named Chitravasu, which means guard of treasure. It is a study that tries to see the museum as an attempt to justify the context of site culturally, architecturally, and functionally. The following are the three galleries being chosen for the museum. The site has been zoned broadly into separate spaces like gallery, parking, refreshment, admin area, services management. These zones are isolated and linked as per their functional needs.
The building is oriented to make use of the southwest winds as natural ventilation into the interiors. The position of the sun and the structure shadow helps to create a shaded outdoor amphitheater and buffer space. The entry gate with a watchman's cabin and the parking road shaded with trees serve as control point and transit route. A light well is punctured on the roof to allow light in the gallery spaces beneath.
In the ground floor plan, a grand entry invites the user right in the center of the building. The radial plan allows the user and ease to reach any part of the museum with shortest route. The public space, admin space and service spaces are oriented in three different directions to maintain necessary separation. The user shall enter the sculpture gallery and pass through the buffer space before entering the virtual reality room. The lift, the toilet and snack corner stands in the end of the central corridor.
A south-facing cavity wall protects the gallery building from solar radiation. After the VR room, the user walks through a 20-meter ramp to reach the painting gallery. The viewing deck benefits from the scenic view of the location after the last gallery. The separate admin building has all the essential offices on the first floor.
The second floor comprises of AV room and textile gallery. After this, the user shall descend down to the viewing deck on the first floor. The vertical circulation is evenly arranged in the building with a two-sided lift in the center. Also, attempts are made to keep the design barrier-free. A section through north and south shows the ease of access in a radial floor plan. The natural contour helps to create a parking space below the floor. A section from east to west shows the use of scale and proportion to attract transpassers passing on the highway. It also shows the use of functional elements like ramp to create an aesthetically pleasing space.
We shall now dig deeper into the structure's different aspects individually. Ticket counter. The ticket counter is placed beside the entrance. The short passage in the center of the building allows cross ventilation on the floor and have panoramic visuals to each corner. Sculpture gallery. The first gallery of museum is inspired by rock cut architecture. The design aims to bring experience of cave through false ceiling and flooring design. These wooden elements act as a place for artifacts as well as seating furniture. The weapons and tools from historical ruins of caves can be exhibited here. Sculpture workshop. A workshop space is also provided outside the gallery to allow sculpting events.
The gallery opens up into an engaged buffer space. It's been inspired from the buffer areas of Ellora caves. The user shall pass through the green corridor before entering the next galleries. However, internal ways are provided considering possible weather conditions. The VR room is planned to have a long narrow corridor. You shall walk through the way which has interactive walls driven by technology to depict stories. On the way to the next gallery, the user passes through a 20-meter long ramp that looks down to the buffer area. The painting gallery on the first floor drives user into interiors inspired from the Mughal architecture. The gallery engages you between its interconnected corridors with canvas hanging on these walls. The native Manjushara art, Padampani cave paintings can be displayed over here. Artists from vicinity can also use this as a great platform to display their art.
Textile gallery. The textile gallery on the second floor takes to the time when Marathas conquered the city. The gully plan reflects the idea of stepwell. We have used colorful threads to hold metallic frames. The textile exhibit can be hung on wall to display the quality and design of fabric on the wall. The Aurangabad, being a large producer of silk sari, commonly known as Python sari, can be exhibited here. AV room. The AV room is placed in the center of the second floor slab. Viewing deck. After visiting the gallery spaces, the user exits the building using stairs that land on the viewing deck. It acts as a rest and viewing space. Being placed on the first floor and looking towards decreasing contours, it provides a panoramic view of farmland in the east. The exiting corridors face the west. The user experiences the vibrant sunset with cool breeze on the face while exiting.
Apart from these, the toilet is placed in the center of the building such that the odor exits easily. Number of blocks is been estimated with 1 block per 10 people. An outdoor amphitheater is beside the snack corner facing the stage on the scenic south view. The orientation is such that the space remains shaded from the building shadow. The snack corner is equipped with the kitchen, storage, and outdoor seating and mezzanine seating space. It is also well connected with service road. A user shall choose between an outdoor and indoor eating experience.
Admin building. The admin building has separate work and refreshment zone. Essential cabins are placed on the upper level in the building to keep away from the general public. Parking. The parking is capable of handling tourist buses along with general vehicles. A separate handicap parking is planned beside the entrance for a shorter route.
An outdoor souvenir shop is been integrated with the landscape at the exit. The user shall pass through these open stalls. The souvenir shall be placed in enclosed shop after closing the museum, which will also serve as a cash counter during the day. Construction details. The column and beam layout has been strategically placed to make the standalone structure possible. The building section 1 explains how the funnel shape of the building allows to capture the wind and push through the central part of it. The section 2 explains how false ceiling and flooring helps transform the sense of space in the interiors. The section 3 shows the methods used to bridge the gap between interiors and exteriors.
The north elevation shows the use of puncture which allows natural light into the gallery spaces. West elevation. The west elevation shows the facade of the building which looks very attractive during sunset as the users and pole shadow would be casted on the wall behind and create an interesting play of light. The southwest elevation, one can see the car movement from the main gate till the parking. In south elevation, we can see the play of levels in the museum. faculties for guiding us. This project won't have been possible without their valuable inputs.
Thank you, Shubham Moghe and Shubham Prasad, for this consistent and structural presentation of your comprehensive work. With this, the event comes to an end. Thank you, Dr. Sudhna ma'am, all the faculty members, Shubham Moghe, Shubham Prasad, Nishita Joseph, the students, and the council body for your time and contribution in making this studio a grand success. Have a good day.